Hey everybody. Hello, it's Maxine Taylor and I've got my October 2019 astrological overview. And at first it seems like a very easygoing month. First of all, the sun, the giver of life, is in Libra when we start our month. And Libra is charming and delightful and loves balance and harmony. I call it lovely Libra. So if you are a Libran, this is your month. Now, on the 23rd, the sun moves into powerful, transformative Scorpio. And I adore Scorpio. I adore Libra too. But Scorpio is the sign of transformation and transmutation. And once a year, when the sun goes into Scorpio, we all have the opportunity to transform our lives in whatever area Scorpio falls. So on the 23rd, that's when you will feel it. Then Mercury, communication, correspondence, transportation, wherever Mercury is, it expresses through that sign, and it's in Libra. But on the 3rd, early in the month, it whips into Scorpio. And so very quickly, the communication systems, meaning our mouth and our minds, of course, go from lovely Libra, let's be politically correct and charming, to let's get to the bottom of what's really going on and don't mess with it. Just tell it like it is. I want to know the cause. And so all of you psychic detectives out there, this is when it kicks in. And if you are a Scorpio, your ability to see and express increase. Wonderful. Then Libra, again, one more time, Venus, the ruler of Libra, is in Libra until the 8th of the month. And when our planet is in its own sign, it expresses so purely and so beautifully. And so there is Libra with Venus tenanting it. And this means that we are totally charming and lovely until, now I don't mean we turn ugly, but until Venus goes into Scorpio on the 8th. And Venus is our love nature. It's what we love. It rules money and beauty and art and love. Did I mention love more than 3 times? Because that's what it is. And so in Scorpio, it's very passionate, very, very deep. And Mars, the planet of action and energy, wherever Mars is in your chart, that's what you throw yourself into, what you fight with and fight for. Now, it starts off the month in Virgo. Cross those T's, dot those I's, make sure it's perfect. And on the 4th, it moves into Libra. And instead of worrying about the details, we are dealing with balance and harmony and relationships. Libra is the sign of relationships. And so actually, with the exception of Mercury, which goes into Scorpio on the 3rd, the Sun and Venus and Mars will all be in Libra at the same time. Now, we also have a full moon and a new moon. I'm saving the best for last, by the way. So, the full moon is October 13th, and it is in 20 degrees of Aries. Now, wherever the full moon falls in your chart, that's where things come to a head. Okay, find 20 degrees of Aries in your chart. You might say, I do not know how to do that. If you haven't signed up for my webinars, go to my website, MaxineTaylor.com, and I will show you on video how to interpret a chart and how to find these lunations, the new moon, the full moon. Okay, October 13th, we have the full moon in 20 degrees of Aries. This means that wherever that full moon falls, if it's in your second house of money, your money comes to a head. Yay! Are you saying, you mean my ship sails in? It sure could. If it's in your sixth house of work, your job comes to a head. Have you been looking for a job? If it's in the seventh house of partnership, your relationships come to a head. I just love the full moon. I really do. Because finally, see what happens just before the full moon, for like 2 days before, things get really wound up and the moon is building and growing, and you can see it in the heavens growing at night. And then it comes to a head, and the energy is gone. And so then it starts waning until we're ready for a new moon. Now, the new moon in October is on the 27th, and it is in 4 degrees of Scorpio. I'm not going to throw the minutes out there because it is solidly in 4 degrees of Scorpio. And on the new moon, that's when energy starts building. And so find where 4 degrees of Scorpio falls in your birth chart, because that's the house, the area of life where things start moving forward. Is it your second house of money? Is it your first house of you? I love it. I love it. So Libra and Scorpio, it's your turn. Now, for the part I was saving, Mercury is going to go retrograde on October 31st. When Mercury goes retrograde, we all know everything gets confusing. You make plans, they don't work out. On the retrograde Mercury, what you want to do, instead of giving birth to new projects, is tie up the loose ends of unfinished projects. Now, some of you know that I did a video on YouTube called Mercury Retrograde, the prequel and the sequel. If you have not watched it, I suggest that you do, because we are in what is called the shadow of the retrograde prior to its going retrograde. And that's when we start feeling the retrograde. By the time we're a week out, a week before it goes retrograde, many of you are feeling it. Some of you have said you feel it 2 weeks ahead. Well, here's what we got. Mercury will be retrograde from October 31st to November 1st officially. However, it will enter the shadow on October 11th. And you're thinking, wait a minute, it doesn't go retrograde until the 31st, and yet we're feeling the shadow on October 11th? Yep, we sure are. And so you may find that you start feeling the retrograde, you make plans, and maybe there's a little mishap or something. And the closer we get to October 31, of course, that's Halloween, the more you just say, okay, I give up. I'm just going with the flow. Because this is the time to plan, not launch. So if you start feeling this around October 11th, I usually feel it about 2 weeks ahead, certainly a week ahead. Mercury will go direct on November 1st. But we have the sequel. We have the shadow of the retrograde. And that is with us until December 8th. And I hear your groans. Please, don't shoot the messenger. What I'm doing is validating what you have known and felt for years. And many of you are aware of the shadow. The prequel and the sequel is what I call them. So I have to add this early on so that you're prepared and you're aware, and you know you're not crazy. So what you're going to do during the retrograde, you're going to finish those unfinished projects. You're going to plan. You're going to organize. And I've always said after Mercury goes direct, you can put your plans into action. Yes, you can, but you'll still feel as if Mercury is retrograde until we come out of the sequel shadow on December 8th. So all you do, if you're going to launch a new project or begin a new job, you take precautions. You double check. You make sure everything is just right. And if it is not supposed to be, whatever this project is, you will know. And when we come out of the shadow, then you will be ready to launch it and move forward. So I hope this is helpful for you. And check out my other videos on your sign. By the way, I always get questions on, should I look at my rising sign, the video on my rising sign? Absolutely, because your ascendant or your rising sign is very often stronger than your sun sign. So you want to do both. All right, I'm going to go record all of the signs, and I look forward to either doing your chart, teaching you astrology, or talking to you this way next month. So till we meet again, may the stars shine brightly on you and yours. Bye for now.